Stephen Colbert attacked the Republican Senate candidate Roy Moore for reportedly pursuing teenage girls at Alabama malls in the 1980s. CBS Welcome to Best of Late Night, a rundown that lets you sleep, and lets us get paid to watch comedy. What do you think of it? What else are you interested in? Let us know. thears@nighttimes.com. Moore goes. A food court and Stephen Colbert devoted a segment of Tuesday's Late Show to the UAL misconduct allegations that have been lodged against Roy Moore, the Republican candidate for Alabama's open Senate seat. Mr. Colbert focused on reports that when Mr. Moore was in his 30s, he was known to spend time in Alabama shopping malls, chatting with teenage girls. In the 80s, when he was a local assistant district attorney, Moore was banned from an Alabama shopping mall for bothering teenage girls. The only place in the mall the girls were safe was Forever 21, because that is way too old for Roy Moore. Stephen Colbert, one Alabama resident, recalls, "It seemed like every Friday or Saturday night you'd see him walking around the mall, like the kids did." Well, he wasn't walking around exactly like the kids did, because he wasn't looking over his shoulder for Roy Moore. Stephen Colbert video by The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. That's just Roy Moore's approach to romance. Put on your finest slacks, and go food court. And Stephen Colbert Mr. Colbert was especially outraged when he heard that Mr. Moore had reportedly flirted for years with a young woman who dressed up as Santa's helper at a mall, eventually asking her out when she was 16. He hit on one of Santa's elves. Well, a true evangelical, he's putting Christ back in Christmas. Stephen Colbert collusion confusion, video by The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. Attorney General Jeff Sessions testified on Tuesday before the House Judiciary Committee as part of the investigation into Russia's role in the 2016 presidential election. As he had in testimony in October, Mr. Sessions often said that he could not answer questions being posed to him because he could not remember the issue in question. Jeff Sessions testified again as part of the Russia investigation, and at one point he was questioned about his stance on marijuana. Because, do you know, it's a little odd when a guy's anti-weed but seems to forget every conversation he's ever had. Jimmy Fallon. Mr. Colbert parodied Mr. Sessions for repeatedly saying that his memory had failed him. "I do now recall. Oop, now I've forgotten it again. Puff, it's gone. Would you go? Where do you go? There were so many meetings about collusion. I've got the collusion confusion." Stephen Colbert. Trevor Noah on Trump and the TPP video by The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. President Trump on Tuesday concluded his 12-day tour of Asia. On The Daily Show, Trevor Noah took the opportunity to discuss the region's geopolitics. He pointed out that Mr. Trump has not only refused to sign on to the Trans-Pacific Partnership, a Pacific Rim trade deal that he has long opposed, he's refused to fashion a replacement for it. Mr. Noah said this opened up opportunities for China to take a leading role that the United States historically would have occupied. "Let me break it down like this. The TPP is a lot like TP. Okay. I'll tell you what happened to me with my roommate once. He insisted on buying the expletive cheap toilet paper that you could find. I hated it, and I was like, we got to get rid of the toilet paper, so he did, but he didn't replace it with anything else. And if you don't replace what you don't like with something else, you're going to be in deep expletive, literally and figuratively." Trevor Noah. The Punchiest Punchlines Philippines edition. Video by Late Night with Seth Meyers. President Trump is headed home after his trip to Asia. "And I saw that at one point, 2,000 protesters in the Philippines were shouting, 'Go home,' while back in America, 60 million people were shouting, 'Stay there.'" Jimmy Fallon. According to a national poll, only 16% of Americans believe that Republican Alabama candidate Roy Moore should stay in the Senate race, following allegations of UAL misconduct with teenagers. 16%, or as Moore calls it, old enough percent. Seth Meyers. The bit's worth watching. Hard to imagine a better carpool karaoke partner than Pink, one of pop's most durable stars. Video by The Late Late Show with James Corden. Jordan Klepper managed to parody Alex Jones and opponents of the Black Lives Matter movement in one fell swoop. On The Opposition. On Tuesday, he announced his All Lives Friday sale instead of Black Friday. Get it? Video by Comedy Central. What we're excited about on Wednesday night. Video by Netflix. Mr. Noah on Wednesday will sit down with the Peabody Award-winning Filmmaker Elaine McMillan Sheldon, whose new documentary, Heroine, tells the story of three women working to make a difference in Huntington, WVA, an Appalachian city where the opiate overdose rate is 10 times the national average. Also, check this out. Bjork's new album, Utopia, is a meditation on hope. If optimism ever was like an emergency, it's now. Santiago Felipe Gatti. Images. Our chief pop critic spoke to the visionary pop star Bjork about her new album, Utopia. On it, he writes, she has turned a corner from the darkness and defeat of her previous effort to a new kind of openness and optimism.